Coach Prime, and looking at this list of players that we have brought in, Jaheim Otis, the big fella from Alabama. Then you got Zach Atkins, Joseph Williams, explosive wide receiver, Caden Salter, and on with these guys, right? I'll say this. You look at last year and you can say, okay, we brought in a 100-catch receiver like Wester, brought in a guy from the SEC and Will Shepard. You bring in what you might say sexy picks, right? Or sexy players or higher. So, well, if you look at this list, these are kind of like you taking a specific type of player. You're not just taking any player, right? Um, Talk to me about the type of players that Coach Prime and the staff are looking to take, and why they or we are not just going for these so-called high-ranking players on these lists and on these different websites and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Coach Prime has a certain type of dude that he wants. You know, everybody doesn't fit his program. So sometimes you can see people in the portal that you believe have a certain talent, certain skill set, certain metric, but that doesn't mean that they fit the culture and what he's building here. That doesn't mean they're going to mesh well in the current locker room with the current players and the direction that that coordinator wants to go in. So it has to be bigger than talent. It has to be about the personality, what that person brings to the table. Because, just putting it just plain as day, as Coach Prime would say, everybody ain't for us. Everybody don't fit. And then you have to realize that there's some coaching that has to take place. So there's really not a lot of emphasis out there on, oh, we got to go get this 5-star, got to go get that 5-star. There's nothing wrong with getting a 4 and coaching him up to be a 5, or getting a 3 and coaching him up to be a 4, or getting a 2 and coaching him up to be a 3. And look at this. There's nothing wrong with getting a walk-on and coaching him up as well. And so it's all about, how does this player fit what Coach Prime is trying to accomplish? Does he fit the personality and the culture of the locker room, the culture and personality of not only his head coach, but position coach, as well as the people in that position room with him? You could go get the best guy out there at a particular position, and he can tear your unit room up with his personality. He can come in and just be a straight up cancer. So it ain't about who wants to come here. It's about who Coach Prime and his position coaches see as a fit here, because everybody ain't for us. Everybody can't be with us. It is bigger than just talent. And so when you see them going out there and kind of cherry picking guys, and it may be someone you've never heard of, it may even be somebody, Chico, with some stats that make you scratch your head, like, oh man, he only, had one tackle and this and that. Well, our staff knows something about him. They have done their medical evaluation and research on him, and maybe he had a particular injury that we know the way we play, we can get him to overcome that. We see something in him, that fits where other people don't see it fitting their culture. So in Prime, we trust. They know what they're doing in their recruiting department. They know what they're doing, what the position coaches need in their rooms. And Coach Prime knows the temperament and personality and the ability that he needs to be successful. So it is a long laundry list of things that go into who he selects and picks to be a part of this program. You just can't hit the portal and just say you want to play at Colorado and we take whatever comes. He's going to take what fits, man. It is a thorough, rigorous process. And I would tell you guys, you can go back and look at history, whether it's Jackson State or whether it's Colorado. He gets it way more right than he does wrong. You may have one or two times where the player has some issues that just didn't work out, but the overwhelming majority of the time he gets it right, and that's because of the work done on the front end.
And do you think that's just from the evaluation from the film? Previously just watching these guys on film, relationship with their current or past coaches. This is a combination of the position coach wanting the guy, the recruiting staff wanting the guy, and then Coach Prime wanting the guy. Can you talk about that a little bit, that dynamic?
It's an absolute combination of all of that. But I would tell you this, man, that film may be the least of it when it comes down, to signing and him recruiting you and him wanting you. And here's why I say the least of it. Once you get through the film and realize a guy can play and you check that benchmark, the next thing you have to check supersedes that.
Yeah.
So your personality, your work ethic, your ability to be coachable and get along with others, talking to your previous program, previous coaches. I don't care if it's back to high school. Is this a kid that's on time? Is this a kid that plays me ball, or is he about the team? all those things are going to outweigh what I see on film. And when I say
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Prime's staff and Coach Prime himself. So yeah, once I see a guy can play, that checks that mark on film. But now these other ancillary things are actually more important than that. So I'm not interested in how fast he can run a 40 as I am as just a guy that's just habitually late for meetings. Is this a guy who can't be coached? Is this a guy who uses his leadership skill to get other players to do wrong instead of getting them to do right? You have to look at all those things, because here's the overall thing to it, Chico. When you're dealing with this portal and this recruitment phase of it, it's buyer beware. You are in the used car market. You can't just go out there, kick the tires, and crank it up, play like you know what you're looking at with the hood up. You know how your uncle and them get out there with that Newport hanging out their mouth and let me listen to it. No. You got to get the Carfax.
The
You got to
carburetor.
drive around the block. You got to put it in reverse. You got to parallel park in both directions. You got to get up on the interstate and accelerate it and decrease the speed. You got to take it through some things, because you can't just go by what the salesman telling you. You got to
Yes.
see, if does this car fit in my garage? And I don't know if y'all seen Coach Prime's garage at Country Prime. He know what he's looking at when he's looking under that hood.
Yes, indeed. Now, you just took me back one time. Took me back when you said looking under that hood and inspecting the car, putting it in reverse and things of that nature. Took me back to my sophomore year, getting that financial aid check or whatever, right? Scholarship check.
Yeah.
I went into the went to the used car lot. Got me an old car. I said, I'll test drive it. I just drove it around the corner real quick. Lord, by the time I made it back to my apartment, the shocks was gone. There was no shocks on the car. So everybody used to call me bounce around, because I used to have the car. My car used to be like this right here, because the shocks was gone in that thing. Right?
You start mixing like my hoopty.
I should have inspected that thing a lot more. You know what I mean? Instead of just, being so anxious to get this car because I liked it. I liked the way it looked, when it caused me more problems down the line than had I just taken 15 more minutes to drive that thing. So that's why the coaches gotta, that's why they do what they do. They go back and they talk to the trainers at your high school. They talk to the assistant coaches. They talk to the teachers and see, are they late? Are they disturbing class? What are they doing? What type of student are they? And I remember hearing that as a youngster trying to get recruited and go to college. They said they're going to ask about all of these things. So from that point on, I knew what time it was. And I hope all the young players, anybody out there, can listen, or parents listening in who have athletes, aspiring athletes. You better get on them and let them know that all this, disrespecting teachers, thinking it's cool just because you think you're a good athlete, that's not going to get you anywhere, especially in the time of the transfer portal and NIL deals and things of that nature, the way college football is right now. You've got to be on your P's and Q's 100%.
You better be, because they're going to check. If you want to go to a real program or real coaches, they're going to get you to the real deal next level. They're going to check. They're going to check every piece and every vital part of it, because they're making a significant investment in you. And not only a significant investment in you, Chico, these are folks who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, up to millions of dollars a year if you're the head coach. And you want them to risk that on something they didn't check out?
No, dog.
No, dog. No, nobody gonna put their job on the line, their professional credibility on the line for like what you did. You just drove the car around the corner and said it's good.
Yeah.
Like, no. Now we got to make sure this thing works here. Like, I got to start it up in Boulder. I don't care what it did in Arizona where it's hot. What does it do on a cold morning? So we got to find out all these things, before we bring it in. And so when people panic about what's leaving and then even get excited about, what's coming in, just understand the due diligence has been done by Coach Prime and his staff. That's why minimal mistakes happen. Another live with Onk and Big Dog. With Onk and Big Dog. With Onk and Big Dog.
And they say
Get ready for
that we all are together on Sunday Night's Live.
Chico.
We here right now, baby, in the flesh. It's live. Get you some.